Let's bring on the Mountaineers. Goes around about the 50, the 10 to 5. A touchdown with Virginia. He did it. He did it.
Left to Dwight. Peterson. He's gone. Touchdown. Tavon Austin.
As the hills of West Virginia resound with the sounds of Golden Blue football.
They want to have a 7-on-7 drill. We want to make it a fist fight. Nothing cheap, nothing dirty, but West Virginia football.
From the heart. Streaming. It's Mountaineer pride. Leave no doubt tonight. No doubt. They shouldn't have played the old Golden Blue.
West Virginia is a special place. People of the state that have great pride in this WV logo.
Ain't no stopping the Golden Blue.
It is a great night to be a Mountaineer wherever you may be.
What's going on, Mountaineer Nation? Welcome into another live stream here on the Country Roads webcast channel. October 20th edition here, game day eve ahead of the homecoming game for the 2023 season as West Virginia gets set to take on Oklahoma State. Hopes to bounce back from a heartbreaking loss to Houston last week as my headphones fall off my head here, but get those secured and get ready to roll throughout this stream. And as always, of course, encourage you guys here in this one, drop your score predictions for the game tomorrow in the chat below, or, of course, any other questions, comments, concerns you got. We'll address those throughout here. That's always the name of the game here on these prediction streams, where we've now released, of course, our preview and predictions podcast episode. I usually get that out to you a little bit earlier in the week. Didn't get it out till today, unfortunately, but the good part about it, I guess the silver lining there, is now you get a little double dip of Country Roads webcast content, because you could listen to, us and get our predictions earlier in the day and then come here tonight and share yours with us in the chat. So if you didn't hear live, go ahead, drop your prediction for the game in the chat. We'll share those throughout and touch on any comments, questions you guys got throughout the stream. And I've got some other little bit of news and notes, tidbits, some things I'm going to share throughout as well. And we'll hang out for a little bit tonight and get ready for hopefully a successful Saturday for West Virginia tomorrow, and excited for it. I know Mountaineer Nation is excited to see West Virginia return home. Been nearly a calendar month since they played at home. So good to have, that, back in our lives. And of course, it being the homecoming game always is usually a good turnout as well. But in regards to that, I guess here at the top, I could get this out of the way. Bit of a travel note in regards to if you're going up to the game tomorrow. I know I live down in the bottom part of the state here in Mercer County, so it's particularly relevant to people here traveling up from that area, because tomorrow is Bridge Day, as I'm sure most of you may know by now. But just in case you don't, of course, if you take 19 to the game, which a lot of us do coming from Mercer County here, that'll be closed on Bridge Day. So you'll have to take, the alternate route. And if you want to find out more information about this, go over to the WVU Sports X at WVU Sports there, and they have a link where you can find more info about it. But definitely wanted to remind everyone about that. Didn't get a chance to there on the podcast episode this week, so wanted to at least do that here on the live stream. And then one more thing I didn't get to share on the podcast episode that I meant to. I usually include this in the Mountaineer News segment at the opening of the preview podcasts. And, of course, that's the game time announcements for, each week. And we got the game time now for West Virginia's next game, which will be UCF next week. West Virginia will hit the road to Orlando, play a game in the Bounce House, which I was a little bit worried about. I honestly was expecting it to be a night game. When I even read through the press release, I was scrolling like, oh, it's about to say 7 p.m., 8 p.m., and I saw noon, and I was like, all right, let's go. So that's what you want, I think, on the road. You definitely want to get those noon kicks. Those are better if you're the road team. So definitely would rather play in the Bounce House early in the day than late at night when it really gets rocking in there. So that, makes me feel even a little bit better about that game as I've, increasingly begun to feel better and better about that game as the season has progressed. Not only because, UCF's recent struggles in the past couple of weeks, but now an ideal time for the Mountaineers there. So wanted to share that as well, but appreciate everyone that is in here live. If you are in here, ask you, do us a favor, hit that thumbs up button, give us a like on this video. Really helps its performance. It'll help future videos performances on the channel for us as well. And if you're a WVU fan, Big 12 fan, college sports fan, be sure hit that subscribe button. Helps us and it helps you as it helps get more of this Mountaineer sports content out to Mountaineer Nation. Let's see, got Timothy in here. What's going on, Tim? Appreciate you, man. See you in here. He says 31-27. He's going with the Mountaineers getting the victory. I like it. I like it, Tim. Silas, good to see you in here as well, brother. Appreciate you tuning in and chiming in. He says, happy Friday / game day eve, Mountaineer Nation. Indeed. Let's go. Time to get back in the win column. Couldn't agree more, Silas. Couldn't agree more. Hopefully, that heartbreak in Houston was, a minor setback for a major comeback. I think this team's shown throughout the season that they have, a resilient type of mentality to them. They're fighters. They fought, in every game. So, with what they've shown us, their mentality to be thus far, I would definitely expect this team to bounce back, positively from something like that, because you've heard, some of the players say, some of the coaching staff, and of course a lot of the fans as well. We've talked about, that type of heartbreaking loss can either make you or break you. And I'm agreeing with you, Silas. I think it's going to make this team. I think they're really going to have a successful season from here on out. But, you're going to learn a lot about if that is the case tomorrow. So it's a big game for a lot of reasons, very pivotal in the Big 12 conference race as well. So I'm excited about it, though. I am. I think this team's going to respond in a good way. But appreciate all you guys that are in here live, or if you're tuning in on the playback as well. Any way that you're tuned into us here, we really appreciate that. But if you're in here live, encourage you, drop your score prediction in the chat. Any question, comments, concerns you got there. Got to pull up one more thing here, of course, that we always like to talk about on these pregame prediction streams. And got to carve out a little bit of a segment here for some uniform talk, of course. We love to do that here. West Virginia this week, I know, is going with a look that a lot of people are probably happy about. Definitely, I'd say a more majority of the fan base prefers this look. And that's not to say that I don't like this look. I actually love it. I think it looks great. But you guys know me and my love for the gold stuff. I'm in the minority there. I know that. But you see West Virginia going with the blue helmets, blue jerseys, and gold pants, their traditional look for homecoming. I do think, though, I will agree on homecoming, you should always rock that, traditional look that West Virginia rocked, all the way up through, like, I think 2002. I'm going to share some stats about it from WVU Uniforms on X, which is a great account you guys should follow on X there if you don't. Provides great stats of West Virginia's records in, each uniform combination, all kinds of stuff. And I'll share that here momentarily as well. But getting a little bit of a look through some of the pictures released by the university there on their official page. Of course, you've probably seen the uniform reveal video yesterday as well, but really clean look. And I love the plates that they've added there above the face masks on the helmet with the, the state outline. I think that's really cool. Gives it an even better look. I know, I believe it was 2018. I want to say they switched from, it was, they didn't even have that gold WV faceplate on there. That was an addition, in recent years. And then they've added the two more with the state outlines, which I think is really cool as well. And there it is, head to toe look. But let me share some of the stats that WV Uniforms shared on X earlier as well in regards to this one. All right. Of course, the traditional uniform. WVU is 127, 51, and 4 all time in the blue gold. And like I said, this is coming from WVU Uniforms on X. And there's the X handle if you want to give him a follow. Shout out to him. Does great work up there at WVU Uniforms 304. but good enough for a 70.88 win percentage. So nearly 71% of the time West Virginia's worn this combo, they've won. First time they wore it was in 1980. Combo has been WVU's main home combo for 22 years, from 1980 to 2002, which, of course, after 02, that's when they started getting, multiple pants options. And then not long after that, they brought in, the gold jerseys. I think that was 07. And then, of course, 2013 got the gold helmet and white helmets involved as well. So, West Virginia no longer was wearing, the same thing every home game. But from 1980 to 2002, this is what they were wearing, that blue, gold. And so I think that that's why a lot of people hold it near and dear to their hearts, because West Virginia wore it, for every home game until they started getting, different variations and different options on the uniform set. So definitely a combination a lot of people are probably excited to see, but let's see what you guys are thinking about it. Eric, what's going on, man? Appreciate you tuning in and chiming in as always. Eric Flowers, great Mountaineer fan there. Silas says, looks like rain won't be much of an issue for game time. Oh, that's good. That's changed a little bit then, I believe, because I think I saw it in the forecast a couple of days ago, but those things are spotty up until, probably about a day or two out. So today would probably be definitely more accurate. So hopefully, fingers crossed, it misses it for game time then. But, if it does hit, not necessarily a bad thing for West Virginia maybe. We saw West Virginia beat Oklahoma State in a, muddy, rainy game last year. So maybe that plays into West Virginia's favor too. I don't know. I think that these teams are very similar. So really, I don't know if that would give either one of them an advantage. But I think for the fan perspective, that's great news. Could help the turnout as well, and definitely help, people stay in for the majority of the game if it doesn't rain, because I think it's going to be cool enough already. I think it's going to be mid 50s or something. So if you add a little rain to that, that's going to feel pretty cold. So hopefully it doesn't. Hopefully it holds off, Silas. I'll take a swig of my coffee, guys. Timothy says he loves the uniform combo, works for him. I agree. I think it's can't go wrong with that traditional look. Can't go wrong with it, really. But I appreciate you guys tuning in, chiming in. Continue, drop any other thoughts you got there as well. I got a couple other things I can share in the meantime there. I thought this was pretty good. I think Jaheim White himself shared this on X as well. But top 3 true freshman running backs in the nation, according to PFF run grade. And, of course, the caveat you see there at the bottom with the asterisk of minimum of 25 rushing attempts. But true freshman running backs that have at least 25 rushing attempts, PFF run grade, Jaheim White is top 3 in the country, actually number 2 in the country among true freshman running backs. As you see, Darius Taylor, 83.9 run grade, and then you get Jaheim White with the 82.4, and then Javius Bond over at Eastern Carolina, 81.5. Top 3 true freshman running backs in the country right there, according to PFF's run grade ratings at least. And I think Jaheim White has looked good. I think, I've talked about his role continuing to increase. Hopefully it does. I think that he's very close to, breaking a big explosive play. And I think that's what he brings to the table for you. I've mentioned it throughout the offseason that I felt like he would get into the mix, even despite West Virginia having a deep running back room, just because he's so much different than anyone else that we've had. And I think you've seen that in his, minimal action to this point. And, the proof's in the pudding there with the run grade from PFF. But I think he's also been very close to, wiggling through and breaking, a long one. And I'm hoping to see it soon. And hopefully, Saturday would be a great time for it to happen, because I think West Virginia's going to need to get the run game going against Oklahoma State if they want to come out of the winning side of this one. But you guys know Jaheim White's probably my favorite player on the roster currently. I'm always raving about him. So when I saw this, I was like, oh, yeah, got to share that in the live stream for sure. So pretty cool. Jaheim White, top 3 true freshman running back in the country right now, according to PFF run grade wise. So big fan of that. Andy Schuler, appreciate you, man, tuning in, chiming in. Don't think I've seen you in here before, and really appreciate the kind words there as well. He says, been enjoying your work/coverage this season. That means a lot, man. Hopefully you're subscribed here. I'll keep it coming for you. Throughout the season, tried to keep it more formatted this year and try to add some additional things to the mix. We used to always do the, game preview and game review podcast, but, last year I threw in the PFF grades, kept that going this year. I started, the snap count series about mid-season last year, and this year I've switched that up to, a live stream so that I get an extra live stream where I can chat with you guys as well. So, that's kind of the format. I'm sure if you've been following along, you've kind of picked up on it, but, going to have after the game, we'll do our post-game show immediately following the game. If you guys haven't been checking those out, I'll post a link to them here on our channel. But you can find them over on the West Virginia Voice of College Football channel and the Big 12 Voice of College Football channel immediately following the game's conclusions. This week it's a 3:30 game, so we'll probably be about 7:30 on our post-game stream. That kind of, starts our coverage, I guess, for, following the game. And then a couple of days after that, I'll release, the PFF grades, the top 5 highest graded players in West Virginia on offense and defense. Then we'll get, our game review podcast out. Then, a couple of days after that, or maybe even that same day sometimes, I'll do the snap counts live stream where I'll update the snap counts from that game, talk about the injury updates coming out of the game, and try and project out a depth chart for the upcoming week for the Mountaineers. And then, of course, you'll get our game preview and predictions podcast a couple of days after that, which, for this game released today, like I said, released it a little bit later in the week, where you can hear us break down the matchups, get our key to victory and our score predictions, plus our predictions for other Big 12 college football games. If you're not a fan of the Mountaineers, you can still check out our podcast and, at least check out the Around the Big 12 segment, I think, if you're a college football fan. And then, of course, this stream here, which is where we, chat with you guys. You guys can throw in some questions and get a chance to hear your predictions ahead of the game. So it's not just, you guys listen to us and our thoughts on the game. We want to hear your alls too ahead of the game. So that's why we tried to, starting last season, add in these live streams into the mix where we get your alls predictions and thoughts ahead of the game as well. So, just wanted to give everyone, a preview of the coverage that Andy's talking about here, just in case you haven't followed us here on the Country Roads webcast. But I think if you're a WVU fan, you definitely should. We put out plenty of Mountaineer sports content, especially with basketball season about to, start off. We're going to be starting up the CRW Hoops podcast, and we're going to try and do post-game shows for as many of the basketball games as possible as well. So be plenty of chances to chat about that. But Andy, we really appreciate you just as much as it seems like you've been appreciating the work and coverage this season. So thank you for that and the kind words, man. Timothy Green says Oklahoma State the last 2 weeks has been running the ball very well. Yeah, Ollie Gordon has been fantastic. I think his run total has increased each time over the last 3 games. Over the past 2 games, he has over 300 rushing yards just in those 2. And, last week they showed that they're going to get him the ball in a variety of different ways and just really focus on, getting him involved. I think he had 29 carries, 136 yards, if I'm not mistaken. And then 6 catches, 116 yards, if I'm not mistaken, as well, and a touchdown, both receiving and rushing. So he's certainly the guy that West Virginia has to have circled on the game plan this week, I'm sure. And I think he's the key. If West Virginia can slow him down a little bit, it could definitely add, increase their chances of winning this game. And he hurt us last year as well, ran for over 100 yards on West Virginia, despite the fact, West Virginia was able to get that win in Stillwater. Ollie Gordon played well. And, now he's had a full offseason under his belt where they've really, honed in on him being the guy, built his body up to where he can take, on the toll that they're wanting him to take 20 to 30 touches a game. And it's really working out well for him, especially since that bye week where they really regrouped, changed their offense. Allegedly, Mike Gundy got his hands more in it, even involved with the, the scripting of the early plays. And it's really been successful. They went to, 1 quarterback away from just 3, honing in on Alan Bowman. But, really, I think finding ways to get Ollie Gordon the ball in creative ways, and Brandon Presley as well, who seems like he's been there forever for them, is a weapon. But definitely their run game has been great. West Virginia's got to come out and stop the run in this game. And I think West Virginia's defense, I don't want to say it's a silver lining from their bad performance from Houston, but I think it probably woke them up a little bit. So hopefully we're going to see the defense look similar to what we saw early in the season. And I think some of the matchups are better for West Virginia as well, especially talking about West Virginia's linebackers with Trey Lathan gone, because Trey Lathan was probably West Virginia's best linebacker as far as pass rush is concerned and as far as pass coverage is concerned. So missing him for the Houston game was really the worst possible game for us to be missing him, because Koba and Cutter, they're great players as well, but their strength is not, matching up with a passing team like a Houston was. I think they match up much better with this Oklahoma State team, where I expect, both Cutter and Koba to probably rack up a lot of tackles in this game and, get a chance to play in the box and hopefully shut down this Oklahoma State running game a little bit because we're going to need them to. So that's the positive side I'm looking at it from, Timothy. But I do agree, man. They've been running the ball very well, and it makes me nervous for this matchup. But we'll see what happens. Silas, I see you picked up on that. Yeah, man, I had a friend get it for me as a wedding gift a while back. I don't drink personally, but I was like, yeah, man, I'll put it on display in the background at least, and I can support the NIL that way, you know. So yeah, it looks pretty cool back there, and it blends in well. So nice, appreciate you noticing it and shouting it out, man. That's yeah, pretty cool. I thought it looked good back there. So I'm waiting on. I've got the new Country Roads helmet coming in. I'm gonna probably have to put up another shelf soon. I think we'll put one up right here somewhere maybe, but that's the same company that made this one. I believe that's Sports Fans is the name of the store or something. It's out of Charleston, but ordered it online. It should be in here before too long. I have to figure out how I'm going to rearrange those. But yeah, added the Country Roads Trust logger back there, you know, just to show my support of Country Roads Trust, which, hey, if you guys aren't, you know, signed up as a member, go on there, donate, do that. You know, you get some good perks. I got a, you know, cool lanyard. I think if you do, you know, another level up, Steven did even a higher level up than I did. I think he's got a t-shirt and a hat and stuff. So some pretty cool perks and stuff. And then, you know, if you can't do it to where you can donate monthly to Country Roads Trust, you know, at least, you know, go out, buy you, you know, a 4-pack of the Country Roads Trust lager there. You know, like I said, I don't even drink myself. So if you don't drink, you know, maybe buy you one, put it on display in your house or something, you know, if you got a man cave or something. That's what I did, you know, put it on display in the office. So any way you can help support the NIL, you know, the Country Roads Trust at West Virginia is really good for the program. It's only going to help us down the line as, you know, this staff and this program continues to try and, you know, build up to compete in this new Big 12 conference, as it's going to look even, you know, different next season. NIL is going to play a big part in that. So definitely, you know, want to take the time out, as Silas mentioned, that to encourage everybody to support Country Roads Trust for sure. Timothy Green says getting Burks back will help us a lot. I agree there 100%. And I think it helps us in multiple ways because he's a leader, first and foremost, on the team. You were missing that leadership quality. And, you know, Marcus Floyd, I think, is a good player, but I think Aubrey Burks is a bit better in pass coverage. And Aubrey Burks is, you know, one of the more underrated safeties in the country, in my opinion. But also it allows you to use Marcus Floyd in some different ways, not only to, you know, spell Burks or Wilson at the free and cat, but you can play him at that nickel position that he played some this season, kind of that spear role playing there. And yeah, they used him on pass rush some as that in that role this season, and it helped a lot. So I think it'll help Marcus Floyd a lot as much as it helps the defense overall. So the news that Aubrey Burks is coming back was awesome to hear. And, you know, really, when you think back to how scary that was in that game against TCU, I think we all kind of chalked it up to, oh man, we're down another safety for the season. And just to see him come back a couple games later is really, you know, a testament to his hard work. And just, you know, shout out to Aubrey Burks. And I'm going to be excited to see him on the field. And I hope he really performs well and has a great game. But I definitely think it'll help the defense a lot, Timothy. I agree with you there. Charles Kelly said CJ had 60 yards after contact last week. We need to be better up front this week. 100%. The offensive line had their worst game of the season by far last week, but hopefully they took that personal when they come out and they have, you know, a bounce back performance of their own. You know, as to go along with what Timothy said there about getting Burks back, I think you can say the same thing about getting Wyatt Milam back. I think that's going to be huge. Neil Brown mentioned, you know, this week that he called Wyatt Milam the best player on this team even. So, you know, that's a bold statement and high praise from your head coach. And I think, though, when you look at the way West Virginia has operated this season, that may indeed be true. If you look at the PFF, you know, stats on West Virginia's running grades and where they've graded out the best and where they've had the most success running the football, it's been outside to the left with Wyatt Milam setting the edge on that outside zone stretch play a lot. And you saw last week when West Virginia didn't have him, they kind of went away from that and moved to, you know, they ran to the right a lot, running behind Doug Nestor, a lot of jet sweeps going that way and stuff, versus a lot of the run plays and stuff were going to the left when Wyatt Milam was there. So getting him back, that may help the run game this week and hopefully helps the offensive line performance, because I agree with you, Charles. That was, you know, a letdown performance from them last week, and I'm definitely expecting a bounce back performance from Zach Frazier, who, you know, I think is the best center in college football, so I'm expecting him to bounce back in a big way. But the West Virginia is going to need it, and, you know, Neil Brown and the staff's done a good job of finding little things to motivate this team at times this year, you know, be it things from previous matchups with opponents. But I think Oklahoma State, they can do a few things with that to motivate this team. Of course, they can talk about them beating West Virginia every time they've played in Morgantown since 2013. But I think for the offensive line and the run game, you can just look at the game, the last time they came to Morgantown in 2021 when they absolutely dominated us with their stellar defense. Oklahoma State was a great team that season, of course, but, hone in on the fact that West Virginia ran for, I think, under 20 yards total in that game. I think we had something like 17, 18 rushing yards, if I'm not mistaken, in that game in 2021. So if I was Neil Brown, hopefully he was hammering that home this week, and that'll motivate our offensive line as well, and they'll come out and have a better performance because, Charles, you're right. We got to play better up front. Chad says, are we patient on the offensive side of the ball, and can we create 3 and out for the defense? Good questions. Those are going to be big parts of, keys for this game, Chad. I agree with you. I think patience is going to be key on the offensive side of the ball with that, 3 high look that Oklahoma State, has with those safeties. They're going to try not to give up too many big plays. However, the funny thing about it is that's kind of been something they've struggled with this season. But I think if you paid attention to their game last week against Kansas had 2 or 3 big plays where it was really just an alignment thing that they did to Oklahoma State, where they made it look like some guys were lined up on the ball, that were off the ball, to the point where the first time that it happened, Mike Gundy was actually arguing with the referees, thinking that the player that caught the touchdown, which was Fairchild, the Kansas tight end, was an ineligible receiver. And Kansas, did some funky stuff with the formation to hit Oklahoma State with that a couple of times. So, yes, I think Oklahoma State gave up like 5 30-plus yard passing plays last week, but 2 or 3 of those were on that. So you don't want to call them fluke plays because, I guess that's, good coaching, good design to exploit a bit of a loophole, I guess you could call it. But, I think that what do you call it? Skews the numbers, I guess you could say, a little bit in regards to Oklahoma State and how many big plays they've given up in the passing game, because I think that's something I've heard a lot of people talk about. And while that is true, it's not exactly easy to, get those big plays on that 3 high safety look. And, it's similar to, Iowa State back in 2018, the Will Grier year. That was kind of when they were first getting this type of defense cranking, and now you see it across college football, across the Big 12, even some NFL teams using the 3 down, 3 high safety look, where, it looks like they've got a light box, you can run into it, but they got a lot of guys screaming downhill. So you got to do a good job, breaking tackles. If you're the running backs in this game, the offensive line, as mentioned earlier, has to, do a good job as well. And that patience, as you're talking about there, Chad, is going to be key, because I think it's going to be a lot of, 3, 4, 5 down run, 5-yard gains for West Virginia in the running game, but they're going to have to, hit those little small gains, just tear away at them. And then when you have your chance to hit on a play action shot, maybe you get a safety to bite. You got to take those and you got to execute on those chances. You got to execute. If you get a one-on-one chance, if you do catch them in man coverage and can hit, a slant play. I think of, a couple years ago when West Virginia had Winston Wright and they called Oklahoma State on a 3rd down and long in a man-to-man situation. And, Winston Wright beats his man, catches a slant, and goes for a long touchdown. So West Virginia is going to have to be patient, but then they're also going to have to hit those chances when they got them there on the offensive side of the ball. Completely agree with that. 100%, Chad, and maybe it'll be a game where we see West Virginia's offense have that gritty, not pretty style we saw earlier, more so than the shootout style we saw against Houston. But I think that plays better into the type of team that we're set up to be right now. So all in all, I kind of like this matchup. I think West Virginia's offense can do some things. It's just a matter of if West Virginia's defense can revert back to form, I guess, and, create those 3 and outs, as you said there. Timothy Green says he thinks this will come down to a 1-score game. 100% agree. Spoiler alert for the preview show. If you haven't got a chance to check that out yet, do so here on the YouTube, or you can listen to it on the audio side on any podcast platform you like there. But I've got it as a 1-score game as well. I think the spread last time I looked on DraftKings was 3.5. I've got West Virginia, around that, spoiler alert. So, but yep, I think it'll be a 1-score game as well. I think we're in for another close one. So, everyone get ready, be sure you got, whatever you need to help you relax, because it's probably going to be another one that comes down to the wire tomorrow. I've got a feeling. Hopefully, I'd love to be incorrect and West Virginia come out and handle business and surprise us and really put on a great performance and do something that I don't think we've got a chance to see them do yet this season, and that's play, a full 4-quarter game where the offense and defense are all clicking all together simultaneously, and that would be awesome to see. But, chances are we're going to see another close one that's going to have us sweating, have our blood pressure high at the end of the game. But I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a fun contest. I've been calling it all week the contender or pretender game because, both teams are coming into this game identical overall records, identical conference records. And so this game's going to go a long way in deciding, who remains in this current race for the Big 12 title game, or at least to be a contender to reach that Big 12 title game, and West Virginia can stay in that mix with a win tomorrow. So I think it's going to be a fun one, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's a one-score game as well, Timothy. But appreciate you guys tuning in, chiming in here. Encourage you guys, one more time, drop your score predictions down there in the chat for this Oklahoma State game or any other questions, comments, concerns you have there. I'm going to share a couple other things I've got here, and then I'll get up out of here before too much longer. We'll catch some shut-eyes and then get ready to watch some college football tomorrow and ready to cheer on our Mountaineers. I know with us playing at 3:30, I know there's at least one great game at noon, the Penn State-Ohio State game, which, I think the Nittany Lions are going to pull the win there. I think that they're going to do it. I think that that's the best defense in the country there at Penn State. But with West Virginia not playing until 3:30, I'm going to park in my recliner and watch that one, tune into some college football, listen to the pregame for our game, which I think starts at noon as well. So be a fun Saturday tomorrow, guys, and I'm looking forward to it. But we'll get ready to wrap up here on this prediction stream before too much longer, but I got a couple other little tidbits I wanted to share with you guys. First of all, I covered it on the podcast, of course, and that's Don Nehlen is going to be, immortalized in the touchdown terrace there at Mountaineer Field. But I wanted to share the video that West Virginia shared on their social media accounts. I thought it was pretty cool, honoring him. Anyways, I think that's the right tab. Didn't mean to stop sharing that. Let me try that again here. But of course, you see there, and they of course listed just some of his accomplishments there. Walter Camp, Coach of the Year; Bobby Dodd, Coach of the Year; AFCA Coach of the Year; Big East Coach of the Year; College Football Hall of Fame member, over 200 victories, 17 winning seasons, 13 bowl games, and of course the most impressive claim to fame, in my opinion, is the 2 undefeated seasons at West Virginia. But here is the video that they shared.
The winningest coach in West Virginia history, College Football Hall of Famer, Coach Don Nehlen.
Our football team believed that they were good. I believe that our team believed they could go ahead and beat anybody on our schedule, and they were anxious to get started at the job at hand.
I think you think that these guys are going to fall over dead for you. Well, I got news for you. They're going to punch you right in the mouth. Nobody thought we could win except us. Our football team knew they could win. A lot of folks didn't think we could, but it really doesn't matter about those other guys. It's our team, and I think this is our finest hour. We got him. Come on, let's go.
Last year we couldn't get one break, and this year we got a lot of them. So good Lord's been with us. We'll take it. That's 11-0, baby.
But when you think about the total program, I believe that attitude is the key, because with an excellent attitude, you have an excellent chance to be successful, and we have an excellent attitude here at West Virginia University.
So pretty awesome stuff there. Coach Don Nehlen immortalized, as they title it there. Going to be immortalized on the Diversified Energy Terrace there at Mountaineer Field, and that's going to be during the Cincinnati game is when that ceremony is going to take place there. So pretty cool, and of course, well-deserved for the greatest coach in West Virginia football history, and one of the greatest in college football history that really built up the brand here for the Mountaineers and really got things rolling to get us to the point where we are now and where we have been over the past 30, 40 years now, I guess. So pretty awesome to see West Virginia honoring him and going to see his name, forever up there on the concrete in the stadium. So pretty awesome. Timothy Green agrees. He says Penn State for the win against Ohio State. Hey, I'm rooting for the Nittany Lions as well. I think so. A couple guys I work with, one of my fellow managers and then our district manager, they're both Ohio State fans. So I've been telling them all week Penn State's going to pull it off. So hopefully they do, and I can, throw out some trash talk, and I don't have to eat a little crow with them. But we'll see what happens. I think that Penn State, like I said, their defense is, I think it's special, man. I think that they're going to pull it out there. But, Ohio State's defense is pretty good too. So I think it'll be a good game, though. I'm excited to check it out. Timothy Green, man, I know that breaks my heart that Wolfman won't get a chance to, be there in person. But, hey, man, he's watching from above, and he gets the best seat in the house to watch, Coach Neyland be immortalized, I guess, though. That's the positive thing we can say about it. I know we all miss him dearly, man. We really do. And then a couple more things I've got here, guys. I know some of you guys probably saw this on X, but, we've talked a little bit about the West Virginia offensive line. We talked about the run game struggling a little bit and the offensive line having, a little bit of a setback last week, particularly in the second half with the run game struggles West Virginia had. I think it's what we're all kind of looking at. But I think the West Virginia pass protection has been very underrated this season. It's been doing a hell of a job. Excuse me there. As you see, the proof in the pudding here coming from Tom Fernelli here on X. Fewest yards lost to sacks among qualified passers this season. Garrett Green, lowest in the country with only 6 yards lost to sacks thus far this season. So West Virginia doing a great job in pass pro. I think the run blocking should return to form this week, or at least I'm hoping so. Wyatt Milam will be back. Still won't have Thomas Remick there at the left guard position, but I think having Wyatt Milam back will at least make some difference in the West Virginia run game. Is going to need to be successful in this one. So hopefully it has a good performance. But shout out to West Virginia offensive lines for pass protection this season, doing a great job there. And then I mentioned Jaheim White earlier. And then the last thing I've got here is I want to share a little bit of some notes on some other West Virginia freshmen that came from Taylor West on X, which is West Virginia's director of on-campus recruiting and, of course, the associate director of football operations there for the program as well. And she shared some information about the WVU true freshman this season on X. I think Jaheim White's, you guys know that's my guy for sure. But some other true freshmen have had, standout seasons, and freshmen in general for West Virginia are making an impact on this team. So wanted to share this, and this is kind of the last little bit of news and notes I have, and I'll touch up on some of your all's comments there and any other predictions you guys have for the game before we close up shop here this week. But like I said, coming from Taylor West, if you guys want to follow her here on X at Taylor L West _ there. But notable midseason stats for Take Me Home 23, which of course was last year's recruiting class for the Mountaineers. 15 true freshmen have played this season. Ben Cutter, of course, made his first career start for the Mountaineers last week. First career touchdowns came for Traylon Ray. I believe his was last week. Jaheim White has also scored a touchdown this season, as has DJ Oliver. So both true freshman running backs for the Mountaineers have already scored touchdowns this season. And also DJ Oliver may be getting closer and closer to, getting into the mix and getting some more snaps here in this rotation, because he did travel last week. Of course, some of that may have been with Justin Johnson being out due to illness, but who knows? I think he's going to be a player that, factors in for the Mountaineers. I don't know about this season, but I really like his prospects for the future. And you guys know how I feel about Jaheim White. But, speaking of Justin Johnson, I think he'll play some this week. But continuing on about the true freshman, lastly, of course, one of the most notable is Rodney Gallagher. And we've seen him get a ton of playing time playing the slot position for the Mountaineers this season. The thing I've mentioned is I'd like to see him be used more in the traditional passing game. I think we've used him a lot on jet sweeps, screens, touch passes, things like that. But it's not like we've targeted him a ton downfield. The one time that I can remember was a beautiful out and up that he ran, and this throw was just slightly mistimed and off because he was going to be wide open for a touchdown. I'd love to see us go back to something like that this week and maybe see him make a play, but he's played and had a catch or carry in the last 5 games. So shout out to Rodney Gallagher, and shout out to the other true freshman, and well put by Taylor West here. Come get developed and earn the opportunity to play early here at West Virginia. And, we're a developmental program, and I think we're doing a good job developing some of these players. You see some of the shots there of those true freshmen, Ben Cutter, Traylon Ray, DJ Oliver, and Rodney Gallagher pictured there, I believe. But shout out to the freshmen playing impactful roles for West Virginia this football season thus far. But that's pretty much all I got there, guys. Appreciate you guys that tuned into this one, whether you watched it live here with us and, chimed in the chat with your score predictions, your questions, your comments, anything you had there. We really appreciate you guys that tuned in here live. Or if you're watching this on a playback, we appreciate that as well. If you're tuning in before kickoff of the game tomorrow, hopefully it's a good result. And if you are tuning in, here on Saturday on a playback, be sure come back, chat with us after the game. Like I said, I'll post a link here on the Country Roads webcast channel. So if you aren't subscribed, be sure to subscribe. And if you are, you'll find it there in your subscriptions. I'll make a post where it'll have the link to the video where you can tune in to our post-game show, and you can come chat with us there live, give your thoughts on the game, the results for the Mountaineers, win or loss, and that'll be over on the West Virginia Voice of College Football channel and the Big 12 Voice of College Football channel tomorrow. But appreciate you guys tuned in, whether it was live or on a playback. Like I said, hit a thumbs up there, give us a like before you head out, and be sure subscribe to us here if you haven't already. Helps us, helps you, helps get more of this Mountaineer sports content out to Mountaineer Nation. Be sure to follow us there on social media at WVU Country Roads on X, Country Roads Webcast, both on Facebook and Instagram. Catch up here with your all's final comments, and then get ready to close up shop here and get excited to cheer on the Mountaineers and enjoy a fun day of college football on Saturday's action tomorrow there on the 21st of October as West Virginia gets set to welcome in the Oklahoma State Cowboys for what should be a fun homecoming contest. But Sal says he thinks we put up 30 tomorrow and keep the passing game moving. Big day from Cole Taylor. I'd love to see it, man. I think, Fairchild from Kansas had a big game last week. Talked a little bit about some of those plays and how that worked out for them. So hopefully, Cole Taylor does have a big game. I think we've just seen the tip of the iceberg of how good he can be. And I know he's the leading receiver on the Mountaineers for the Mountaineers this season. So that's strange to say, but I think that he's just a player that can be hugely impactful. And I would not be surprised to, see something like that happen. Whether it's tomorrow or not remains to be seen, but I hope that it is, Salas, and I hope that you're right. I didn't have West Virginia scoring that high in our prediction show, but hopefully I'm wrong and hopefully you're right. Would love to see us, score 30 plus for the second consecutive game. And hopefully West Virginia, having that breakout performance that they did offensively last week, maybe built some confidence in this offense, does have another great performance, because if nothing else, they've given defenses something else to worry about. Excuse me there, but because before we talked about teams were just going to load the box on West Virginia, no matter how good this offensive line was, how good we thought these running backs could be, it was going to be hard to be successful against 8-9 man boxes, which West Virginia was starting to see if they didn't start making plays in the passing game. But last week you see it happen. West Virginia has a Houston team that says you're not going to run the football against us, especially in the second half of that game. So West Virginia says, that's fine. We'll spread it out. We'll attack you downfield. Most individual passing yards a quarterback for West Virginia's had since 2018 with Garrett Green's 391. So now you've put some things on film, and now defenses have to be leery. They can't necessarily load up the box because you've shown that you can beat them. But I think Oklahoma State will probably make you show them that you can do that again. So I think Oklahoma State is still more or less going to sell out to stop the run, at least early in the game. So there will probably be opportunities there for West Virginia to make some plays in that passing game, for Cole Taylor to make some of those plays downfield, particularly early in this game. So not a bad prediction there, Silas. And Wet Blanket, I appreciate you, man. I see the Pokes logo there. I completely agree with you. Going to be a battle, man. I think it's going to be a fun one. I think it's going to be really close game no matter who wins. I think it's going to be less than 7 personally. I had it as a 3-point game in our, preview and predictions podcast episode. Spoiler alert, which, check that out there. I know you're a Pokes fan, but I like to think that we have content for, other fans of other Big 12 teams, particularly our final segment in our preview podcast is always around the Big 12, where we give our predictions for every Big 12 game that week. So I think it's going to be a great game too, man. You guys have really found your way since the bye week. Ollie Gordon scares me to death. Hopefully we find a way to shut him down. If not, it could be a long day for us, but I'm hoping, fingers crossed that, coming back to home and having a home field advantage plays a part in West Virginia, playing a good game and, bouncing back from a heartbreaking loss, because I think Oklahoma State's coming into this one in a really good spot, back-to-back wins over ranked teams. West Virginia's going to have to come into this one ready. And so hopefully they are ready to play and come out and give, their best effort, because they're going to need to against this Cowboys club, man. But I think it's going to be a fun one too. And it's definitely going to be a battle. I certainly agree with you there. I'm excited about it. So hopefully it's a good one. Appreciate you, man, coming in here and hopping in here with us for a second. And appreciate everyone else that did so as well. And I look forward to chatting with you guys again after the game. Like I said, come check us out. Probably be around 7:30 for the post-game show over on the West Virginia Voice of College Football channel and Big 12 Voice of College Football channel, simulcasted on both of those. And then we'll be back here on the Country Roads webcast to talk about it ourselves in our review podcast coming out a couple of days there after the game. And then I'll chat with you guys again, talking about the snap counts from the game and updating the injuries there early next week. But looking forward to a fun one. Hopefully the Mountaineers come out on the winning side of it. Timothy there, couldn't said it better myself. That's exactly how I'm going to close this one, as you guys know already. But should be a fun one. Homecoming for the Mountaineers. Excited to see, a good contest, a really good Cowboys club coming into this one. Like I've tabbed it all week, it's the contender or pretender game, I think. Whoever wins this game is going to stay a contender, remain in the race to compete for potentially, landing a spot in the Big 12 title game at the end of the season, or at the very least be playing meaningful football games there in November. So hopefully it's our Mountaineers that are able to do so, as both teams are coming into this contest with identical records at 4-2 overall and 2-1 in the conference. So really important game, and it's going to be a fun one tomorrow. Excited about it. Glad that it's taking place in Morgantown. Like I said, if you're going up to the game, if you're coming from, the bottom part of the state like I would be here in Mercer County, remember it's Bridge Day, going to have to take an alternate route. But if you're going there, be loud, be proud, rally behind this team. They're going to need us to, be a factor in this game. And who knows, this crowd could be the edge that West Virginia needs to pull out this very important win and, hopefully continue on what can be a successful season. And I'm expecting and hoping to be a successful season for the Mountaineers. So, whether you're cheering from your couch or you're cheering there from the stadium, it's going to be a fun one, and hopefully it's a good one for us, and they give us something, positive to cheer about, and we bounce back in a big way from what happened to us last week. But looking forward to it, as I'm sure all of you all are as well, and I'll be looking forward to chatting with you guys again after the game. As always, I'm Jordan Cruz, and until next time, let's go Mountaineers.